Welcome to the Pinstripers podcast, special edition Pinstripers podcast after dark. The podcast about pinstripers, hosted by two pinstripers. I'm one of your hosts, Jack Fleming.
And I am your other host, Freddie Villa. And today we have two sponsors. That's right, folks, two sponsors. The first one is going to be paintcult.com. That is Paint Cult with a K. And they're wanting to let everybody know that there are huge custom paint classes coming to just outside of Houston, Texas on March 13th through the 17th. And go to paintcult.com for details. The second sponsor is idcrisisdesign.com. I think that stands for Identity Crisis. They have some pretty cool stuff. They have the powder lines, which is like a powder template to create grid lines. And they have some spinning tools along with original artwork and prints. That is idcrisisdesign.com. And today we got Cherrybomb, Alecia Drinning. Is this correct?
No.
How do you say it?
Drinning.
Drinning. How come there's no R? I looked it up. I thought there was an R.
There is an R.
Oh, man. I already messed it up. So, drinning. Okay.
Man, quick thing on that with the intro with her is it kind of ties into our sponsors because she's going to be teaching at the Paint Cult classes.
Yeah, so that's kind of one of the reasons we did the dual sponsorship today. Because we're trying to get this out before the classes come out to sort of push also with the classes, right?
Yes.
So, Alecia, where are you located at? Where are you doing your work at these days?
I am recently relocated to Fort Worth.
Okay.
I was in Dallas forever, but now I'm in Fort Worth.
Nice. Did you grow up in Dallas?
No, so I was born in California, the Monterey area, and then we moved here to Dallas when I was like 9 or 10. So technically, yes, I think, but it's been Dallas the entire time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you're that little, that's kind of all you really know, right?
Right.
Well, welcome. I don't know if we said welcome. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited for the After Dark edition.
Yeah, I'm finally like the awake one. Usually I'm asleep and Jack's bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
I'm off my meds and on caffeine. So
yeah, it's going to get crazy.
We're going to be great.
So how did you get started with pinstriping? What got you into doing pinstriping?
So my dad used to take me and my brother to car shows when we were younger, like on the weekends that he had us. And I'm sure this will tie in later, but he took us to the Autorama every year. And I got to meet Wade Coddington one year, which was way cool for me, like as a 12-year-old. And at that show, I could see pinstriping on cars, and I was really attracted to that. And I couldn't, that's all I was looking at when I was at the shows. And so fast forward until I got married, I was like 23, 24. And my husband at the time was really into the car culture and the scene. So I was able to get taught. We had a friend, Joe Ford, within fabrication, who was able to come and show me like the basics of pinstriping. I had, the blue wrap, Mac brush, and I think I had a can of like the one shot, the white color, and just kind of went off from there. So yeah. I had, when we got married, I decided to paint and pinstripe all of our wedding invitations. So it was like 200 wedding invitations right as I'm starting out. So halfway through, I started getting better and had to like redo them because I wasn't going to send them out. So once you do that, like 200 or 300 times, you get a little better. And then from there, it's just been, that's all I've wanted to do is paint everything.
it really, you do catch the bug, right? Like that's something we've come to learn is it's like a lot of people try it and a lot of people
Yeah.
fall off, but you damn near it's almost weird. It's almost like it's got to choose you.
Right.
And but it's awesome. It's awesome. We've got a chance to hang out and paint a little bit, and you move quickly. So I think doing them 200 wedding invitations got you moving pretty fast.
Yeah, maybe that's where I get it from.
Yeah.
Exactly where my thoughts were.
Yeah, she moves fast, dude. She knocked out like a lot in a little bit of time. How did you get hooked up with Jack? How did you guys meet?
Jack and I met. It was the first panel jam I'd ever did at Dallas Autorama. I think in 2018, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jack, but I think we were set up next to each other.
Yeah, right across from each other.
Yeah, and I was scared out of my mind. That was the year that Hot Rod Jen was there. I think Todd Hansen was there, and I was so nervous. Like, and that was an understatement. So I felt safe in my little corner at the table that I was at with Jack, and like just observed everybody. But ever since then, we've run into each other at car shows locally, and we've just not stopped talking to each other. So we're buds now.
Yeah. Those that are listening that don't know, I think we've mentioned it before and all, but we didn't mention it tonight. Alecia, Cherrybomb Pinstriping here, is the one that takes care of Pinstripers podcast Instagram page. So little tie-in, part of the family here, I guess.
Yeah.
And we're very appreciative of the help.
I love doing it for you guys.
Oh,
So.
it's super helpful. Because it's like a lot, right? And so any little bit of help is nice.
Yeah.
And but yeah, you know, I think same thing for me. Like when I first met Jack, it's like we made friends automatically. Jack is like a walking safe space. Like,
yeah,
you see the guy and you're like, I'm just gonna be over here because it's laid back. It's laid back over here.
Yeah.
I think it's funny because that first panel jam that you're talking about, you mentioned that Todd Hansen and Jen were there, but like sitting at the table, so Alicia's across from me. I'm sitting next to Ted Turner and Darren Wenzel.
Gosh,
yeah. That's like it was kind of intimidating.
I had no idea who they were, and which is embarrassing to say now. I'm friends with Darren. He's great. But like, I think you mentioned to me a couple months ago that we were sitting with Ted Turner and it like a light switch flipped and I was like, oh my God, what was I doing?
Yeah. Same thing like when we went up to do that, what was it, the Butler Museum thing?
Yeah.
You know, we sat with a lot of folks, and again, I'm embarrassed to say that I didn't know a lot of them. And then over time, you get to figuring out, oh man, I was sitting next to this person and that person, and then you start to go into their catalog, and you start to go into their lifetime worth of work that they've done, and it's like, holy cow, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Crazy how small of a world it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the pinstriping and sign painting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Every now and then I'll run into or find out of somebody that's pretty close to me that I didn't even know existed. There's a fella here in St. Pete called Sun Signs.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And he's 45 minutes away from me. And
he's great.
Yeah, he does fantastic work, but I think he's you know, super duper busy, so I've not yet had a chance to go up there and say hi to him.
I think it is interesting how small the world is. When I did the Houston Autorama a couple months ago, I met Sam Filipino and bought
San Filippo.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I'm really bad with names. But I ended up buying paint from him because he has the original leaded paint, and I was so excited. And this past weekend, when I was in California, I got to meet Ricky Neal, and turns out Sam bought all of his paint from Ricky. And I didn't realize, I didn't know. So it's funny that everybody's just kind of tied together.
Yeah, I mean, we can't get away from each other with what we do. I mean, it's, you know, even overseas, like, you know, there's people overseas just doing what we do, and we're doing what they do. I watch a lot of the guys in like Japan and Bangkok. They do some crazy nice stuff.
Yeah.
That's some of my favorite work to look at.
And it's like familiar, but has a very unique flavor over there, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
It's like cherry Dr. Pepper or something like that. Like you know it's Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper's cherry flavored to begin with, but yeah, so that's my analogy. So you are our first part-time pinstriper that we have on the podcast, and we've been wanting to get somebody. And we figured perfect timing, right? So you're going to be teaching at the Paint Cult. So how do you feel about being a part-time pinstriper? Do you feel like you're working towards doing it full-time, or are you comfortable in staying part-timer?
I'm torn. I would love to do it full-time, I think, but also I'm really scared because doing it full-time is very scary.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm comfortable with being, having a steady income and having, insurance and everything. Like, that's definitely easier. And I don't feel like I have a clientele base yet that can support me doing it full time, if that makes sense. And like, I know, Jack, you do it full time, and I think that's incredible. And how you do it day to day boggles my mind, because I would be like a stress ball of
I am.
Yeah, it's just I would like to eventually do it full time. That's the end goal. But for right now, like, being single, having my own bills, like, I have to make sure that I have that income coming in. You know what I mean?
Oh, I absolutely agree. I mean, I don't see myself ever doing it full time. I think this, for me, is like me working towards being good enough to supplement my retirement. So whenever I'm done, whenever I get tired of wherever I'm at in my 50s or 60s, maybe I could just be like, all right, I'm just gonna walk out or something.
Yeah.
And at that point, I have 30, 40 years of experience under my belt, to where I would be more comfortable, and hopefully have some sort of saving at that point. But yeah, it's ballsy to be out there and do the full-time paint stuff. I look at what Jack does and what other artists do full-time, and it's like, man, you gotta hustle.
Yeah.
And we seen when we were down there watching Jack talking business, pinstriping with one hand, doing perfect straight lines.
While being on the phone.
While being on the phone, while being a badass.
Yeah.
While being
I don't know if other people who stripe full-time kind of think this way, but to me, sometimes it seems like, looking at some of the people that do part-time, you've got a steady income to rely on.
Mm-hmm.
It almost seems like, with that less stress thing, sometimes it's like, wow, look at the work that those people are turning out. And I don't know exactly how I'm trying to say this, but it's almost like there's more freedom to kind of do what you want. Whereas, like, on my end, and I know that there's people that are full-time that aren't in the situation that I am, that are able to have a lot of freedom with what they're doing. But I feel sometimes like it's not really there, because it's doing what the clients want most of the time. And fighting to find time to do what it is that you want to do.
Well, and you say that all the time when we talk, that you don't have time to, design something for yourself or paint something for yourself. So, and where...
I don't know if other people are in that situation, but looking at people that are part-time, it's like, man, there's totally the freedom there to just, if you don't want to do something for other people and you want to crank out your idea and put it out there into the world, nothing's stopping you.
Well, and I think partially that's where maybe my speediness comes from, because generally I like to have a piece done like in the same night that I start it. So I'll come home from work and I'll eat and I'll go out and paint and knock one out. But in the same hand, also, I struggle when people give me a prompt. If they have an idea, if a customer comes to me and they say, I want X, Y, and Z, and I don't love the idea, I really struggle with wanting to do it. So I'm spoiled a little bit in that I get to do what I want when I want. So I don't know how I would do full time.
So I feel the total opposite because it's like there's pressure there. It's like, okay, I'm on this person's clock and I'm here in their shop, or I've got their stuff sitting in my shop and they want it back, so I've got to hurry up and get it out. So I'm usually faster on that work than my own. It's like reverse.
Yeah.
I think it's like a chicken and the egg thing, like, or the grass is greener on the other side. You know what I mean? Like, you're looking at us in a certain way, Jack, as the part-timers, that we can, whatever, saying, which I just said no to a car. I sent y'all the message, right? I said no to a car. The moment I'm slightly uncomfortable, I drop it. I have no need for it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I see the benefit of taking on the challenge and maybe struggling with it. Of course, there's going to be something will be learned through the struggle, which puts the ball back into people like Jack. You know, that's why Jack's so good at what he does.
I don't know that you have to take everything when you're working full time for yourself. I turn a lot of stuff down.
No, but I'm certain you probably would take on easily something that I would be like, I'm good. I mean, it just has to be just one small. I mean, I'm ready to drop them before they even say anything.
Like he didn't introduce himself to me, so no, we're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to get there.
Like, hey, have some sort of, I don't know, like something that sounds friendly. Don't just be like, bam, give me this. It's like, you know, but that's just me. I don't know. But at the same time, like, you know, Jack's, I feel like you're going to be better because you're doing more work more often and you're having to stretch yourself to do this and that, things that aren't your ideas. And whereas I feel like the part-timers, we can make something real pretty, but to go actually physically go do work, you're going to be the guy, you know?
Yeah.
But it's, I think it's a grass is greener situation. And you're going to be, Alecia, a part of the classes coming up, correct, for that paint cult?
Yeah, with Joe Vincent and then Robert Messenger. So this will be the first time that I'm actually teaching. So I'm really excited for that opportunity, and it sounds really cool. I know you've taught with Messenger Paint before, Freddie, right?
Yeah, we did 2 classes. So apparently he was a part of some earlier big classes way back, like a few years ago or something, when there were some big classes happening, and that's kind of where he had an opportunity to do some teaching. There was a guy here locally that was putting on a tattoo convention. He reached out to me originally, and then I said I wasn't fully comfortable, so he reached out to Messenger, and then Messenger reached out to me and said, what do you think if we do it in tandem? I don't even know if that's the right word, tandem, but so quick side note, I'm going to say words that I don't know what they mean sometimes, but I'm going to use them anyways. So
we're used to it. It's cool.
Yeah, in tandem. We did the first class. We did it at the tattoo convention and realized that we didn't need the tattoo convention because we brought in all our own students, all our own stuff, made all our own money, and sent them away pretty They were really happy.
Yeah.
The group of people started off as individuals and kind of left as a unit. Like everybody made friends. You could see people helping each other. You could see some people go from not knowing anything to like knowing a lot within a couple of days. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's what's so rad about the community to me is, you know, you get in with the right people that are in the same mindset as you, and you instantly have this group of people that you can go and knock ideas around with and have support. And I think that's so cool.
Yeah. And you're helping the whole thing grow, I think. to be a teacher. I think it's pretty awesome. Which is why we're also keep trying to push Jack into getting into it, right?
I'm not ready.
You sound
I
like
think Jack could put on his own classes and do great, but that's just me.
we need to have the classes introduce themselves well to Jack. That way he'll take on the job.
I want to go take a class from somebody. I feel like, I don't know. We've talked about that before, me and you, Freddie. But.
Yeah, Jack's in the trying to figure out, I think, the idea in the realm of a class before he makes the decision to go teach one. But, in the end, like, I feel like, we're showing people the beginnings of Pinstriping, which it's, once you get a few years in, you're way past the beginnings, and that's all you really got to show them is the very beginning, because you know damn good and well that you're not gonna advance these people much.
You're just the basics,
the very basics, which aren't very difficult to show, and it's gonna be up to them to take it home and continue.
Right.
And
everyone,
go ahead.
Everyone jokes about shaky hands, and when you're at shows and people watch you, and it's like my hand shakes constantly, but I've been doing this for so long, it feels like now that it doesn't affect the line that I'm pulling. It's just the consistency of continuing to do it in practice. I think that's where people fall off.
Yeah. And how long have you been pinstriping? I don't know. I think you told me when you started, but how many years has it been now?
It's been, I think, 10, like 10. On and off.
Nice.
Yeah, this past year I've really been able to hit it harder. But it's been on and off for like 10 years.
Nice. Have you ever felt like you had a plateau or moments to where it just kind of wasn't working out for you?
I've definitely had times where it was easier to not paint than try to, and that was, I'm not sure how to say this like delicately. It was just the situation that I was in didn't support that kind of me being creative at the time. Yeah. So it was easier for me to not put up the fight for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
And now it's full on green light.
Yeah, now it's like, okay, I can do what I want. So, and it's, that freedom has been, I've been able to travel more this year. I've done a couple other panel jams that are out of Dallas, Fort Worth. And I plan on going further out later this year as well. So it's really cool being able to do it and just not have to worry about, not necessarily circumstances, but other people's feelings.
Yes. Yeah. I try not to worry about Jack's feelings too much.
I have none. That's cool.
Yeah.
What panel jams have you been to? Like, what was like the first panel jam that you went to? Was it the one where you guys met?
Yeah, that was the first one that I had been to. And then over COVID, I don't think it happened at Dallas Autorama. And then last year, Jack came to us or he was just like, hey, I'm going to run the panel jam. And I was like, cool. And I was all in on helping. So I did it last year, and I don't think they did it the year before that.
There was 2 years that it was missed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aside from Dallas, I did Houston back in November, which was really cool. And then I just got back. I got to do the Grand National Roadster Show last weekend in Pomona, which was incredible.
And that was panel jam? Sorry, Jack, I didn't mean to jump in.
It's all right.
What was your question?
Okay, I'll go. That was another reason why we thought it'd be great timing for you to come on here. You got the class, you're getting ready to teach, and you just came back from Grand National Roadster Show.
Yeah.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah.
And then I think, that's one of the things, at least for me, I want to know about it. Like, who was there? What was it like? How was it different from other panel jams? I'm totally curious.
I don't even know where to start. I think they had like 40 artists there. Um, and I didn't meet everybody. Like as much as I tried to like go back and forth, because they basically had two different islands, I'll call them, where tables were
Really?
set up. Yeah, it was just so busy, and you're it's overwhelming almost. Aside from like the people that you're sitting next to, because you can hear the conversations that they're having with people that walk up to you and ask questions. At one point on Saturday, I had to take a break and I had to go and walk around and just see what other people were working on and talk to other people. Um, the jam itself was great. The support that they had. When I walked in, I had to go pick up my pass on Friday morning, not knowing any of these people, and had to meet them at their hotel. And Marshall Knapp, I think, is the guy that puts it on. And as soon as I walked in the hotel, he said, "Oh, there's Cherrybomb," and he made it so easy and welcoming to be there. Everybody introduced themselves to me, and it was just like I was a part of the group immediately, and that was so helpful. Instead of it being, going in blindly and you're shy and scared because you don't know these people and they're incredible artists that you followed forever. So they made it really easy and welcoming to be there. Gosh, everybody had work that was there already. Like I got to meet Tom Kelly and talk with him a little bit. He had at least 50 panels that were there that he was selling. That was so cool. And I got to meet a ton of people that I follow on Instagram that I followed forever and finally get to meet them in person. And that was so rad. So overall, it was an overwhelmingly incredible experience.
Was anybody working on people's vehicles as well, or was it just mostly doing art?
All that I saw was mostly doing art.
Okay.
A lot of the artists that were there had like their own booths, like vendor setup spots around where the panel jam was, selling their own stuff also. So, and that was new to me because generally when we do like our autorama, we don't all your time and work that's done at the autorama goes towards the charity. So that was new to me to see people selling their stuff there. I thought it was really cool, but it was new to me.
Yeah, I think there's a. I mean, I guess if you're gonna donate your time and your energy and your effort to things like that, usually there's costs involved. So maybe that's a way for them to try to offset the cost.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I also wanted to note on the having somebody there to welcome you thing. It's such a big thing that I love. That I love when you go somewhere, or even so somebody invites you. Even better because you got a kind of that connection point. And that makes me just want to give a quick shout out to Anthony Monaco, because he's the one that took me to my first. Well, there was supposed to be a panel jam in Georgia that got canceled, and Anthony was going to surprise everybody by arriving there because he's not too far. He's in Tennessee. And it got canceled, and he said, "I'll tell you what, man, why don't you just come to my house and I'll scurry up about 5-6 people if you want to come down for the weekend." And I was like blown away. And this dude's like, "Yeah, just come stay at the house. I'll bring Rick Harris down. I'll bring this guy down. I'll bring Stronghold came down from Georgia with amazing artwork. I got a chance to meet Nolan Scharnhorst, I believe is his last name. But I got a chance to meet some awesome people, and just having somebody like give you that camaraderie without no questions, like, oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, it was so helpful, and for somebody that's like anxious and nervous, especially in new scenarios like this, not knowing anybody, it was so helpful.
Yeah, and I get the same way. Like I almost wait out events until I get invited.
Yeah. Don't do that.
I know. I'm getting better at it this year, so I am doing the Daytona thing, which unfortunately I was unable to do you guys's because it's similar in time. But This year I want to do Daytona. Next year I'm thinking I'm going to come out there and do the Texas one.
What's the date on the Daytona one? Do you know?
The 22nd, 23rd, and 24th.
Of February?
March. Yeah.
Not even the same month.
I would love to come do that one. I was gonna try to last year, but
it's like I got to take time off work, and it's also cost. You know what I mean? Like, it's easier for me to get down to this 2 hours away from the house. I mean, heck, if I wanted to, I could just drive home. But that's quite a bit. That's 4 hours back and forth. So we got a little hotel. Hotel's not bad. Apparently, they're gonna have some food there already.
Nice.
From various places, so I don't have to worry about food. So the cost is pretty low. Gas won't be much. I'm certain. 1 or 2 tanks of gas, I'm good to go.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, hopefully I want to come down. It was a lot of fun painting with you guys.
It was fun painting with you guys too. I paint with Jack all the time, but like it was cool that you were there also.
Yeah, I was there to stink up the place.
Something else to ask. I mean, you've talked about panel jams and stuff you've gone to and how you got started. I see you around at car shows. We work some of the same car shows and stuff.
Oh yeah.
How long have you been doing that? Like, what's your approach being part-time and doing that? Like, how does that fit in?
I love taking time off of work. So any excuse I'm a really big advocate for taking time off, but if I can throw in a car show over a weekend, it's icing on the cake for me. I think the first local car show I went to was Pistons and Paint, and I didn't set up. It was just the first one that I had been to, and I fell in love with it. It's still one of my favorite local shows that we have that's up in Denton every year. And I think that may have been the first show or invasion that I set up at. And I did it with Joe Ford. He was almost like a mentor in a sense of pinstriping, and he taught me how to spray graphics and stuff like that. He used to do classes as well, but we used to share a booth, and we just kind of went off from there. We would do Roundup together, Lone Star Roundup in Austin. That was a big one that we did. I've really only done the local shows, and I don't love painting cars at shows. Typically I won't do it. Just it's a lot of onlookers and questions, and it's not super different, but there is a difference when you're a woman and you're out there painting that you just don't want to deal with it. And that's where I'm at painting cars at shows. I like being comfortable in my own space. I'd rather you bring your car to me and I keep it for a weekend and, pick it up when I'm done. But so the shows for me are typically like I'll be painting trophies, or if you bring me small stuff, I'll paint those at shows, but typically not cars. Yeah.
I think I was like that in the beginning. I'm getting more comfortable with doing vehicles. I kind of sort of expect to do vehicles now when I go out to do them. But I understand it's just a way different. I mean, it's a big challenge to be out there, and you can't really control your environment. You got wind pushing your brush over. You got people tapping you on the shoulders, and to be honest, I can only imagine that being elevated, being a woman.
Yeah, and there was, I think the last time I painted a car at a show, it was at Roundup, which is a massive show. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of cars. And I had taken my kit out into the show, and these two guys stood over my shoulder the entire time, critiquing what I was doing the entire time. And yeah, and I was like, cool. And like, the feeling of wanting to run away and get away as fast as possible was so heavy on me. So, and that really just left a terrible taste in my mouth for wanting to do cars at shows again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, people just being shitty people.
Yeah.
It kind of blows my mind that somebody would sit there and do that. But
Yeah, I don't know if they thought I had headphones on or what, but I just, okay. Like,
I find it interesting working shows and stuff and striping a lot. People talk about things and whatnot, and yeah, it's almost like they're watching something and don't realize that you can hear them or
Yeah.
something.
Right. Right.
Yeah, you do definitely got to steel your nerves when it comes to all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm getting more comfortable, and then the thing is, even if you do, like, the moment you put on music, then somebody wants to come talk to you. It's like,
Well, and I'll don't tell anybody my secrets, but I will play dumb and I will pretend that I don't hear you, even if I have music playing and I do hear you. I'm there to do a job, and I'm so sorry. I can talk to you afterwards, you know?
Yeah. Well, have you noticed anything with the jams that you've been to that you'd like to try to work into or implement with the ones that you guys are doing now?
A big one that I took away from Grand Nationals was they do a Secret Santa exchange.
Cool.
And so this year, I know I've talked to Kate about it, Jack, and I know you're behind on our group text, but we're gonna do like a sign-in sheet, and if you want to be included in a Secret Santa later in the year, you can leave your information, like your email and stuff, and then we'll do that at the end of the year. I think that's such a cool idea. It's super fun. Like, I've always wanted to do something like that.
I will say, and not to discourage at all, but I will say that I recall them doing that on Pinstriper's Garage. There was a pinstriper by the name of Lizzie. Oh man, I think it was Fenwick or something like that.
I think they still do it.
No, I don't think they do, because she was running it, and they were running into issues with people not sending their panel. Some folks would send one out. Yeah, some folks would send one out, and then they wouldn't receive anything in return. So
that's a bummer.
So just make sure if they're really in, that they really got to be in, you know?
Yeah. I'll go to their house and pick up the panels personally.
There you go. Yeah. Blackmail them.
Road trip.
Yeah. And you said you got a chance to hang out with Tom Kelly, right?
Yeah.
So
cool.
How was that experience?
It was really cool. I was set up next to Emily, who goes by Miss Ricochet Red on Instagram. Okay. She was so nice. But Tom would kind of come around on the outskirts of the tables and just kind of see what everyone's doing. And it was so rad. And he would give everybody a hard time. Emily would give him a hard time back. Like, it was great. When I went over to look at his stuff, I'll have to send you guys pictures, because I know he doesn't have a lot of stuff online. Uh-huh. But I'm looking at these borders that he's done, and he's like, guess what I did that with? And I'm like, I can't even fathom what you did this with, sir. Like, and he tells me it was just paper towels. And like, he's doing this incredible wood grain effect as a border with paper towels. I watched him at one point do he's just wiping colors with a dirty rag onto a panel and makes this figure out of it. And he's just so nonchalant, and he was just, bam, this is done and it's beautiful. And it was so cool to just kind of be in his presence and watch him work. He's a trip. He was super fun.
That's
you
awesome.
were supposed to ask him about the Kelly script.
I know.
Did you?
No, I didn't. On Friday, he really wasn't painting at all. And then Saturday was so busy. And we were sitting on the exact opposite ends from each other. And if you can imagine, I don't know, it's a huge hall, and we're on either ends of it, essentially. So it just wasn't easy to get over there while trying to do other stuff. So I apologize, everybody. I'll go back.
Yeah, write that on your to-do list for next year, please, and we'll get back with you as we'll check up on the deal.
Yeah. If I go back out to Southern California later in the year, I'll be sure to stop by his place specifically for you guys.
Awesome. This is actually for Jack. I'm just supporting Jack.
Oh, well, it's got me.
Sure, sure, sure.
Make me the bad guy.
Yes, Jack's the Jack. Vanna Wipe.
Yeah.
So who were some of your early influences when it came to pinstriping? Like, who was some names that kind of caught your eye in the beginning?
Hot Rod Jen, of course. Beth Kearney, she was one. For me, it was really cool to see other women in the industry do it.
Yeah.
Tanner Leeser was one early on.
Say that again. That name?
Tanner Leeser.
Oh, okay, Tanner. Yeah.
Yeah. I think early on, like Jen was the one that I was devouring almost. Like I would scrub her Instagram page and Facebook page and YouTube channels and just take in all the information that she had to offer. She was really a big one. So it's really cool that she's coming to our jam this coming weekend. So it's very exciting.
Oh, and y'all's the one that y'all are doing is this upcoming weekend?
Yeah, so it's the 16th through the 18th.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I'll get this out. I'll try to get this out maybe Monday, Tuesday. That way it comes out before the weekend. Yeah.
That would be rad.
So make sure to come out, folks, to the the Dallas Autorama. Am I wrong here on that?
Dallas Autorama, the Great Texas Panel Jam, February 16th through 18th at Dallas Market Hall.
That's the one.
Come out, folks, and say hi and purchase some stuff. Actually, I have a panel that I made for it. So if y'all want to spend some money on some artwork that I made, it's there.
Oh, that one got lost. I don't know.
Sorry, there was a lot of art put in my car today, and I took a wrong turn, so all gone.
Well, hopefully somebody's using it as like a tray of sorts. Maybe to catch oil under the car. That'd be the best.
Oh, no.
Covering the rust hole on the floor in my van.
Yeah. Oh, it's now part of the van. Yeah. It's a splash guard.
We're teasing, folks. It'll be there. It's amazing.
Don't steal artwork, I swear.
And is there some folks that you like to see now that you are influenced by these days, or is it basically the same folks?
It's pretty much the same folks. It's funny, so I was talking to Jack about this earlier today, that I'm really bad at looking at other people's work.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I really pull a lot of stuff out of my own brain. I had the opportunity a couple months ago to sit with Tanner, and he kind of opened up the design world for me a little more in the way of thinking and how I lay out my designs. And I've just gone off of that. So I really don't spend a lot of time looking at other people's work for inspiration. I think I should. Like, I'm going to start doing it now. But I've always just kind of winged it, I guess.
No, well, I mean, whatever you're doing is working, so it's on.
Thank you.
There's no need for it if there's no need, because I think a lot of the folks that were pioneering this stuff, they barely caught a glimpse of it.
Yeah.
I think Tom Kelly mentioned how small them magazines were, which I didn't realize they were that small.
The 5x7?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. So I collect some of the older hot rod and carcraft magazines, and I have them go to the 5x7s. They are incredibly small.
Yeah, and then they're trying to look at a small square of a picture that has a tiny little design on a car. So, they didn't have much.
They were printed in black and white for the longest time, up until like the early 60s, I think. So you can't even imagine the colors of these cars, and then you see them in person, and it's just mind-boggling.
Yeah, I can imagine so.
Yeah.
So is there any things that you're looking forward to doing in the future? What's your thought process on pinstriping for the future? How do you feel like everything's going?
I mean, I think it's going pretty good. It's um I'm falling more in love with it how I used to be, and that's really exciting. And trying out different things is always exciting and what keeps me going. Um, I'm excited to. I really want to get more into sign painting this year, so that's going to be a focus. And glass gilding, that was one that I really wanted to do last year and didn't get the opportunity to. Um, and then in the same hand, I'm also really wanting to learn graphics again and spraying cars. So that's something later this year. Um, Ricky Neal has offered to, spend time with me to teach me stuff like that and paint. I have a 64 Fairlane that we're going to paint, and that's something I'm really looking forward to spend time and learn from him. So everything custom culture is like, I just want to absorb all of it right now.
Heck yeah, that's gonna be cool. You said you got a Fairlane. Is that yours?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta see pictures of that. That'd be awesome.
It's not much right now, but it will be soon.
Yeah, that's how they start off. Like Jack's truck. It's not much right now. Sorry, I gotta tease you, buddy.
The best in my fleet. What are you talking about?
I haven't seen the van yet. You still got the van?
Which one?
Oh man, you got more than one van.
A couple. It exists.
I seen you utilizing that Kafka that I gave you.
I love that brush. I can't remember the other one that I had that was shorter, the Bobo maybe.
Bobo.
Bobo. I couldn't get that one to do what the Kafka's doing, and it's so fun to use the Kafka. And I was making some really tight turns last weekend on a couple pieces, and they were like, how are you doing that? And I'm like, it's this brush, it's magic. Try it.
It's surprising how many folks don't use them, and they're around. They've been around for years. Mm-hmm. It's the synthetic blend, and in my opinion, I think if you fan one out when it's dry, it's got a slight taper from the top down, so it's not flat cut. And man, after a couple of uses, I keep telling people some of these brushes become almost a ballpoint pen. The only downside to them is I can't get a line past 1.5 feet before I start to blotch out.
So doesn't have as much hair.
I don't, really it's because it's really not meant for that, right? It's meant for scrolling. Mm-hmm. So if you could do little designs all day, no big deal. But if you're gonna go sideways, especially, you're gonna go a couple feet out, you might as well go get that, sword out, because that's meant for that.
That's a question I don't think we ask on here enough. What are some of your favorite tools?
I am embarrassed to say that I really don't have a lot of brushes. I have a stack of brushes that I've ruined because I was really bad at cleaning them for a long time. The swords I use are the King 13s, the MAC King 13s, typically a triple aught or smaller. I really like narrow lines. And then the Kafka, I think is it a size 1 that you gave us?
Yeah, that's my favorite size.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me.
What it is.
So those are the 2 brushes that I've been using, and then I have a set of the virus brushes and the broken pinkies from Tidwell. That's really all I have. That's all I use.
Well, I know you do, and I don't know that I've seen as many of them recently, but I seem to recall you doing some of the cutout stuff, and you recently just finished and posted a cartoon with Ed Roth and stuff in the car. What brushes are you using for that kind of stuff?
I mean, for the one that I just did, the Boss Fink one, it was literally one virus brush that I have. I can't tell you the size of it. It's the only one that I have. And then for my bigger cutouts, I have the Broken Pinkies again. I really love those. They're the pink ones from Tidwell. I think that's the right name of them. And then I have some of the snake bites from Alpha Enamel. But that's all I have in my arsenal, truly. I want to get the 169 lettering brushes. That's on my list.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
I like them as well. I like them as well.
Yeah. I have some other lettering quills. I can't seem to figure out the magic of them. I hate using them. I can't even tell you which ones they are. But I really want to get the 169s.
I'll tell you another brush that I was real surprised with that I got a set of. I think through the Alpha 6 website, they have a set of the Meyer mops. I think those are Mike Meyer's signature brushes. Those things I can manipulate very, very well. And I'm like you, trying to learn more lettering this year as well. I'm actually purchasing literature, even though I'm like I don't read.
As long as it has pictures.
I'm making an effort to read for like the first time ever in my life, and it's because of it's because of lettering. Because I see people, they say, look, I got this book, and they just follow the book. They follow what it says. But there's a lot of good information as to why a letter is constructed a certain way.
Yeah.
And that's half the battle. And then, figuring out the math, unfortunately. I might have to buy a calculator.
I didn't know there was.
Oh, yeah, there's math involved.
No, I can't. I'm out.
But I'm going through your stuff. You did do some cutouts here. It's nice. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, I did a lot of them a couple years ago. I want to get back into doing them. Marco Gomez, Moggs, on Instagram, he does them constantly, and I freaking love the work that he does. So I get excited when I see his stuff. It makes me want to also do them. So that's where a lot of that influence comes from. I think doing tattoo conventions would be really cool. And Herfer hand painted signs, he's incredible. The work he puts out is so freaking cool. I think cutouts are a different genre in a way, but they're still in the same line. They're very fun to do.
Yeah, I see this big one with the eagle and the snake.
Yeah.
That thing is huge.
Yeah. They're fun. I like doing the bigger ones. They're a lot of fun.
And I see you're doing some gold leaf as well. What type of leaf and size are you using?
I was using the one-shot size, quick dry. I recently switched over to Duck's quick dry. I like that a lot. I could not tell you the leaf that I use. I bought a huge amount of leaf years ago, and I've been slowly working through that stack. I don't know where it's from. I wish I could tell you. I just have so much of it, so I'm trying to get through all of it before I'm making myself work through all of it before I order more. I've been wanting to try it, and I was talking to Ricky Neal again about this because he uses water-based size on a lot of the gold leafing that he does on his cards. And if you look at the work he does a lot of very like 60s, 70s crazy graphics, like drag cars, gassers, that type of stuff. And he does a ton of gold leaf work. And he was telling me that he uses that because you can see when it changes and it's ready. Like I guess it goes on clear and then it dries white maybe. And yeah, it sounded really interesting, and it made me want to try it because it sounded like it may be a little easier to use. Not that Ducks or any of that isn't easy. It's just, I don't know, more effective.
I didn't know. I use LA gold leaf size. I don't know what it is. I guess it's oil based. Would you know, Jack, the LA stuff?
I've never used it. I used Ducks. I've used One Shot, and I used one other, and I don't even remember what it was.
I will say that I always notice as it's drying, it starts to develop like a small texture Have y'all ever noticed that? Like as it dries, like getting towards the end, it's almost got like a slight texture, almost like sandpaper or something like that.
Like sandpaper?
Yeah, or
What size is it?
Yeah, size. So let me look. Let me look at my bottle here.
I think you're doing it wrong.
I've got some pretty good results. Maybe this is water based. It just says no, it's oil based. Okay, LA Gold Leaf size. Some folks use this. Some folks use this because there's some folks that are really about the ducks, right? Like that's all.
Yeah.
That's all they'll use. So I've spoken to some folks that this is their version of ducks. So this is like a strong competitor in some folks' eyes, right? You know, people are with brands.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go ahead and say it. My buddy, Coffin Garage. I don't know if you guys follow him, but his spins and his leaf is immaculate.
I think, like, I don't understand.
So he told me, one of the things he told me that helped me a lot is to lay it down as thin as humanly possible.
Yes.
And that did help me get a better shine. He also put me onto this glove. So there's a glove you can buy. I think it's actually meant to use to lay the leaf, but it's an all cotton glove, and you can sort of polish the leaf a little bit with that glove before you spin it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's like a second, because you know when you brush it off with the brush, you kind of give it a slight polish, and I guess this gives all the imperfections, kind of gets them laid down a little bit more.
I feel like I could benefit from that, since I really just wing it when I'm laying it down, and I use my bare fingers, and I don't clear over any of my gold leaf.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
I'm going to stay out of this conversation here.
You can see Jack's fist clenched.
Yeah.
Like that meme. It's just
I can feel his rage through the phone.
Yeah. Jack's biting onto something right now, so you don't see it.
I'll be honest, I'm doodling while we're talking. So.
Of course, multitasking. Yeah, that's something that I need to care a little more about, is the process of not sticking my oily fingers on my gold leaf, and probably clearing over it. That sounds like a really good idea.
Can't hurt. Jack showed me the what is it, the 2K?
Yeah.
So I literally have random stuff, like I'll either acquire through some means, or I have purchased some things, but I got that oil-based clear coat from Alpha Clear.
Oh yeah.
Early on, they did send me some things for the YouTube channel, but they didn't send me a ton of stuff. But I think I bought the clear because, you know, they're always doing like 20-30% off or whatever, 40% off sometimes. So I got that clear, and that's what I use. But I spoke to Jack, and apparently that's probably not the best option if you're going to actually do a vehicle.
I don't know 100% on that. I feel that 2K clear, and that's what's been told to me from some people that I trust very well, is probably the best option. For exterior stuff. I use the Alpha stuff, but I use it on like panels and stuff that are going to be indoors, just because I personally don't know the longevity of it.
Yeah.
So do you? Oh, you're saying you for your leaf or just general pinstriping?
For the leaf, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I just did some actually burn through a little bit of the leaf, which is like the worst, man. When you burn a little bit through it. But I'm gonna do some clearing tonight, so that's on the agenda.
If you ever see any of my gold leaf panels in person, there are so many burn spots. So please don't feel alone in that.
Okay. Try laying it just as thin as humanly possible, and just and if you think and this is opinionated, right? But if you think it's ready, just wait another 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes you could wait a little longer than you think. Plus, if you've waited too long, you could always wipe it off and redo it.
This is true. I did a panel the other night where I did a border of gold leaf, like leopard print. And that one actually turned out really well in terms of I didn't burn through any of it. It laid down great. that was one of my better gold leaf excursions, I guess, that I've done in a while. It's not cleared.
You don't say.
No.
Well, we are getting about an hour into the podcast. Jack, do you have any burning questions that you have on your mind?
I cannot think of any other than our normal kind of ending question, if you want to go ahead and jump on that.
Do you know of our ending question, Alecia?
No, I asked you if there were going to be questions, and you said no.
Yeah, because I suck. Yeah, I suck.
It's an interview without questions.
We were just going to tell you stuff. So generally towards the end, but then again, you should be listening to these, so you might know. Towards the end,
I'll never tell.
We've only ever done it every single episode we've ever done. Towards the end, we like to ask people if there's any funny or fun or odd or strange stories that you could think of, something that stands out in your pinstriping journey that you think the listeners would like to listen to. Or if you prefer, we could give advice since we did not prompt you ahead of time. But do you have a story?
I have a story, but I would love a piece of advice in exchange for the story.
Oh man, we're bartering now. Tell us the story. I want the story now.
Okay, so I was still pretty new, and we would go out to the Fort Worth Air Coolers club meetings every month, the Volkswagen club that was out there, and everybody would drink. We would have food. Like, it was a great hangout, a great time. One of the guys had a notchback.
What's a notchback?
It's I don't know what year they're made in. It's a Volkswagen. So do you know the square bodies that they had, like the wagons that they had?
Yes.
Okay, so it's like a coupe. It's not a wagon.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail you.
Okay, they're very cool. They're pretty rare. And at the time I was dying over it. It was the coolest car. And the owner of the car was so drunk that night, and he slipped me $200, and he said, "I need you to do whatever you want to do on the car." And I didn't want to take it because he was so drunk, and didn't want to paint it because I know the specialty of the car. I know how rare the car is. I somehow did it, and I got a phone call the next morning asking why there was pinstriping on his car, and I had to explain to him that he gave me money and basically forced me to do it. And there were witnesses, so it was all in good fun, but it was a very nerve-wracking experience because of how cool the car was to me. And I didn't want to fuck up his car, you know?
Yeah.
But he seemed to love it. I don't know if it's still on the car today. I saw it a few years ago and it was still there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. If you see it, the signature's little cherries on it. So that was my signature back in the day. But it was pretty cool.
Nice. So it ended up being a happy story.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
started off creepy, ended up happy.
Yeah, the legal action was taken, so we're fine.
I didn't know where it was going. How did you get the name Cherrybomb, or where did the name come from?
In the beginning, I thought, and I don't know where it comes from. If you guys know, please tell me, because like Hot Rod Jen has her name, Beth Kearney has I think it's Lady Little Dame Stripes. Like everybody seems to have a name, and I went through a handful of them, and nothing like really stuck. And I was in my office painting one night, and like Cherrybomb just kind of hit me, and like there was nothing that triggered it. I was like, holy shit, this is it. And I Googled, I searched like Facebook and everything. I was just had to make sure nobody else had the name. And it just kind of stuck, and I love it.
It's a pretty cool name. I'll give it to you. It's pretty cool.
Thank you.
So last, we'll end it with some last stuff. Do you have any advice? Any advice for somebody that's wanting to get into pinstriping? Any advice for pinstriping at all?
Yeah. Just do it. Like, as cliche as that sounds, I think if you want to get into it, get into it. There's so many sources nowadays. Like your YouTube channel, Jack's channel, everybody's YouTube channel is incredibly helpful. Reach out to people, artists that you follow, and ask questions. I think that's a huge thing. If people aren't willing to help you, like, I get it, but find somebody that is, and really lean into them. Also advocate for yourself. Like, if you said earlier that about going to shows that you kind of wait to be invited, and I'm like, no, we're going to email the people, we're going to get you in the show, like, make it happen for yourself. I think that's a big thing, to really stand up for yourself and make stuff happen that you want to happen. Don't wait for other people for it to fall in your lap, kind of. But yeah, I think with pinstriping, just go for it. And you're going to suck for a really long time. We all did. Just keep going.
Well, I think that's solid advice.
Thanks. I think you were supposed to give me some advice as well.
Oh, no, I don't have
That was the deal.
So clear coat your leaf with clear coat, or else Jack will be angry. And nobody likes an angry Jack.
I have one last question.
Yeah.
Where can people find your work if they want to see it? Other than your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Cherrybomb YouTube on YouTube.
Channel with a very awkward 9-minute video with, like, no sound that you can go and watch. I'm really active on Instagram. It's cherrybomb_pinstriping. I have a TikTok with the same handle. And I think I have a Facebook page. I never check it. Sorry, Mom. I know that's where she likes to see all of my work, and I just never post anything there. Instagram's my main one. That's where you can find me. And if you're in Dallas next weekend, come to the Autorama. We'll all be there, having a great time.
Yeah, Autorama and the classes, right? So what date are you doing the classes?
I'll be there the entire week. So I think it's March 13th through the 18th. I'm sorry if that's wrong. Go to Paint Cult with a K. But I'll be there all week. 13th
through the 17th.
Thank you.
I keep wanting to ask you more stuff.
Please do. I'm good.
How do you feel about the teaching thing? Like, what do you have a game plan? Like,
no, I'm going to be very blind. And I've never taught before, but I think it's just going to be fun to help people.
Yeah.
I have a friend that I've been friends with him for a long time on Instagram, and we finally met in person last week at Grand Nationals in California. And he's been learning. He took one of Danny A's classes. Mm-hmm. And I joked with him because he was coming to the panel jam. I said, "You're going to paint with us?" And he was like, "No, I'm not going to do that." And by the end of it, we had him painting with us in front of a crowd of people. So I'm going to be the one that's pushing you out of your comfort zone. Like, so sorry, everybody, but that's my jam. That's my bread and butter. I just want people to enjoy the craft, and I want to see it continue. I love the history of it. I'm such a sucker for the car culture history with, like, Larry Watson and Walt Prey and all those big names. So if I can help you guys learn how to keep this alive, I'm there for it.
Well, I think it's going to be awesome. I hope it's an awesome experience, and I hope it goes smoothly.
Me too. That'd be cool.
All right, Jack. Anything else?
I'm good.
All right. So we're gonna say our official goodbyes. We're gonna say I'm gonna say thank you very much for being on the show. Thank you for helping us out. It was awesome meeting you in person. Hopefully, we get a chance to sling some paint together sometime soon. And we appreciate you for coming on.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm glad we made it through. And, Jack, I hope those energy drinks are treating you okay.
I'm doing good.
Oh, you heard him? I'm doing good. Makes me feel good.
It's a couple hours past my bedtime, but everything's great.
He's sleeping at the shop tonight.
Welcome to the club, buddy.
Crossed my mind.
All right, y'all. Well, have a good night, and thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.